Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Points of Articulation. My name's Dave, I'm your host, and if you're new to the channel, welcome everybody. Hope you enjoyed the video. Today I'm looking at the Star Wars Armada Venator class Star Destroyer expansion pack released in 2021. This ship was first seen in Star Wars The Clone Wars, the animated series, not the CGI one, and also on the silver screen with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, a couple weeks ago, I reviewed the Acclamator in the Republic Starter set for Armada, and I was blown away to finally have that miniature in hand. And as good as that is, and if you want to see that review, check the link in the description below, this vessel here takes the cake. You know, this is the pinnacle Republic cruiser in my mind. When I think of the Clone Wars, this is the ship that pops in my head. And rightfully so. Ever since I saw it in Episode 3, this vessel stuck in my mind. It's beautiful. To me, it's beautiful. I love the shape, how, yes, it's very predatory looking with this arrowhead configuration, but then again, because of the paint scheme and, you know, they're the good guys, you know, it gives a sense of hope. You know, it's a ship that brings peace to places that were taken over by the Separatists. So it's got a lot going for it. And during the Clone Wars, it wasn't just a Star Destroyer for ship-to-ship combat. Nah, the whole front is basically a carrier. This whole section here would open up and have fighters, interceptors, and gunships, dropships, whatever it needs to get the job done. And I think that's one of the things that appeal to me about this vessel. It's not just there to scare. It's not just there to shoot lasers. It had a role with a purpose, and I dig it. I think it's awesome. And to finally have it in my collection with the Armada brand is pretty sick. You know, it's got a lot of details, and I may be jumping ahead of the curve here. So we do have a lot to cover today, but before we get to the review, for its size, this ship comes just under 6 inches long, or it converts to a tad over 16 centimeters. So it's a nice sized vessel. I wouldn't say it's as big as an Imperial Star Destroyer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got a nice size to it. So having said that, if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is go over everything we get in this set. We're going to take a look at the tokens, the rules, cards, take a nice look at the ship, go over key points and close-ups to see all the beautiful hidden details. We're going to take a look at the paint, put it on a stand, compare it to some other vessels, and then we'll be done. So let's get started by looking at the box. Normally on my channel, I don't like to showcase the box or anything like that, but many people always ask to see what the packaging looks like. And here we go. On the left-hand side, we have a nice window to showcase our ship. And on the right-hand side, we have Star Wars Armada, beautiful artwork, and then the title of our expansion on the bottom. Now, this whole aesthetic is on all three sides, going like this, up and on the top, as we'll see right here. It's just in a different configuration. But all in all, some pretty awesome stuff. I like what they did here. The bottom is blank, just a star field. And the back of the box looks really awesome. We have a nice write-up, all our copyright crap on the bottom, and a little image of some of the stuff we get in this set, including tokens and cards. And look at that artwork. Beautiful stuff. And what I like here is that we have these right here, which if you're a fan of the Clone Wars, you'll know that these go out, they find escape pods, and then they crack them open, and they shoot all the clone troopers. Pretty creepy stuff, but pretty interesting that it's in there. I wonder if we're going to have that in a future expansion. Pretty neat. So all in all, a pretty nice layout for the box. Again, it's not normally something I always like to review, but many people ask for it, so there it was. So now, let's take a look at all the stuff we get in this package. And now it's time for the Dial Token Roll Call. First up, we have 1 ship token, which is double-sided, 4 raid tokens, 4 defense tokens, 4 command tokens, and finally, 3 targeting tokens. So that does it for all the tokens that come in this particular set, so now let's take a look at the rules. Alright, now looking at the rules, on page 1, we have our title, Venator Class Star Destroyer with a nice write-up, and then we have our components list, with everything that comes in this set. And then looking at page 2, we have some new rules. Talks about squadron keywords and upgrade card traits, which breaks down into modification, size restrict upgrade, and special battery ornaments. Now what I like about this page is right at the top underneath new rules, it states, this section contains brief descriptions of rules found in this expansion. The full rules can be found in the rules reference document at the Fantasy Flight Games website, and I love this because if you're curious about how to play the game or what you need to play the game, everything is listed on our website. And one thing I have noticed after looking at it for so many years is that sometimes it does update, so it's always cool to check it out from time to time and download the PDFs they offer. Moving on to page 3, the new rules is continued with ignition tokens and how they work. And I love the art right here for the ignition attacks, this little display about how it actually functions. Several weeks ago I played my first game of Armada and I used the Imperial Craft, the Honor. It's basically a Star Destroyer with a super laser, and I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check out that review. And it uses this particular attack. And let me tell you something, the ignition attacks, they work really neat because it's like a extension to your firing arc and how far you can go. So it's pretty cool and definitely something to look into. And finally on page 4, we have our credits section with everybody that worked on this particular expansion and the copyright crap. So that does it for the rules, so now let's move on to the cards. Moving on to the cards, let's begin with the 16 upgrade cards. Like in all my videos, I will read the name of the card. If you would like to pause the video and read all the stats, by all means go right ahead. First up, we have Luminara Unduli, Plo Koon, Ahsoka Tano, Barriss Offee, Clone Commander Wolf, 2 Thermal Shields, Hot Landon, 2 Flak Guns, SPHA-T, 2 DBY-827 Heavy Turbo Lasers, Ship Title Resolute, Tranquility, and Triumphant. Now moving on to the ship cards, first we have the Venator 1 class Star Destroyer. It has 9 hull, 2 blue anti-squadron, 3 command, 3 squadron, and 4 engineering. And for the firing arcs on here, the front has nice black and red, the sides a mixture of all 3, and then we have all 3 for the aft. So not too bad. For the back side of this card, we have the title at the top, possible upgrades on the left hand side, and on the bottom right are points. For our second ship card, we have the Venator 2 class Star Destroyer, 9 hull, blue and black anti-squadron die, 3 command, 5 squadron, and 4 engineering. For the firing arcs in the front, we have black, blue, and red, on the sides, blue and red, and on the aft, we have a mixture of all 3. On the back of the card, we have the title at the top, possible upgrades on the left, and points on the bottom right, which is 100, which should be about 10 more than its predecessor. But on the whole, a decent ship, and I love the art on this card. So that's everything I have to say about the rules and the cards. So now, let's take a look at this beautiful ship. Alright, finally, let's take a look at this beautiful ship. Just like in all my videos, I will go over all the major sections, and then we'll get a nice close-up look to see the fine details. So where to begin? I guess right in the front. So this long piece here, this maroon section, is actually hangar bay doors. These would open up, showing basically a landing strip, and then on the sides would be different hangar bays for fighters, interceptors, gunships, you name it. These bad boys had it. Not only were these cool attack ships, but they were also carriers as well. So that's pretty neat. Now, if I go like this, you can see these 2 little prongs sticking out of both sides. Those are, in fact, turbo lasers. So very nice touch. And real quick, looking at the side here, I call it the trench. This whole section here is filled with turbo lasers, medium turbo lasers, laser cannons, point defense lasers, and also different tractor beams and missile launchers. So very nice. And right here, which is located on both sides, are hangar bay doors, basically docking ports that are massive. So very nice. Back to the top, we have our turbo laser batteries, 4 on each side, looking good. We have our superstructure, looking amazing. And one of my favorite parts is its dual bridge. On this side, the left, we have our command bridge, and on the right, we have our flight control bridge. So very cool. A lot of thought went into this bad boy. Coming to the aft, we could see this long section poking out. This is where the hyperdrive is. So really cool. And then we have our ion engines here, and just look at all of them. We'll get a closer look in a few, but amazing detail and an amazing amount of engines there. All those pipes. So pretty cool. On the bottom of the vessel, we have a peg port for our stand. Beautiful detailing throughout. And then, of course, we have our hangar bay, which looks amazing. Pretty awesome. So all in all, that covers all the major sections of the ship. So now, let's get a closer look. Alright, having a closer look, we're going to begin with the bottom of the craft. And as you can see, it is loaded with details here. Recesses, line work, raised sections, it's got everything. And if I turn it, you can see it's not even flat. It's got some raised sections there and a nice angle here, which is beautiful. So let's start looking at all this stuff, because there's a lot to see. I know it may not look it when we zoom out, but once you get close, you can respect it for all the little differences here on both sides. It's just loaded. We have our turbo lasers right here. Just amazing the amount of detail on here. Coming down to the hangar bay, you can see all the unique lines here for the paneling, all the raised sections. Great stuff. And look at that hangar bay. That is very nice. Beautiful amounts of details in there. Jeez. Let's turn it this way. Amazing stuff. You can see they really cared about this ship. Amazing detail. Peg port for our stand. And look at all that detail down here. Amazing stuff. And back here it sort of recesses in, which is amazing. And the detail, it's just mind-boggling. Crazy amounts. And you can see how zoomed in we are. So this stuff is small. Beautifully done. Now if I turn it like this, you can see how this whole ledge leading to this trench section is sort of recessed in as well, which is kind of cool. Starting here and going to the side. Look at all that. Beautiful amounts of detail. There's our docking door right there. Just fantastic stuff. Trying to get a good shot for everybody. Looks like a little shield generator there, doesn't it? Pretty nice. There's our turbo laser. Wow, the amount of detail on here is amazing. Turning it this way, you can see the front there, and then the side again. Fantastic. And this section here is probably my favorite. Look at all that detail. Tons of different things all thrown in there. And the wash gets in all those nooks and crannies and really brings it to life. Like seeing all this all bunched together like this reminds me of something you would see in the Alien universe, especially in the first film. Pretty interesting stuff. Now for the aft, this is something I really love. Look at the recess in there. Beautiful details. And then we have our engines. Nicely done. Beautifully detailed. Check out the bottom of them. Now the engines are pretty similar on each side. There's no real surprises there at all. Let me see. There we go. Just amazingly done. I think these came out great. And then turning them like this, you can see they're all recessed and molded. You see all the little sections in there. Very nice. Get another shot. You see they're hidden in there. Looking good. And looking at this section, you can see it is molded as well, which is nice. And just look at this piece here, beautifully molded. And this is our hyperdrive area back here. Very nice. So let's go back to the front. And you can see the beautiful amounts of detail again as we go towards the bridge section. I love this. Very nicely done there. We have our open circle fleet emblems, our hangar bay door. Looking amazing. And here we have our turbo laser sections. We'll look at them in just a few. But amazing amounts of detail on here. Look at all the little raised sections. Cool stuff. Same goes for this side. Beautiful. Now looking at the turbo lasers, you can see they're molded pretty well. I actually think they came out great. Could have used a little paint on them maybe to have them stand out a little bit more, but not bad at all. Looking at this side again, you can see beautiful stuff. Now moving up to the superstructure, you can see all these nice angles and details. I love this. I think this is one of my favorite parts here. Just beautifully done. You can see all the little details there. Just amazing. Looking at this side, the line work and modules on here. Just pretty cool. And we have our aft section, which has some nice detailing on there. Not gonna lie. Amazing stuff. And I love the blue on there too. I wasn't expecting to see so much blue, but I dig it. Now I love this section too, with all these little squares punched in. And then if you look, the detailing goes right through the trench here. Amazing. And if you look on the sides, it's detailed as well. You're really getting your money's worth with this model. Wow. Now looking at the bridge section, you can see it's nicely done. Again, everything's there that should be. And if you look here at the bridge windows, they are recessed in and they look great. Really cool. The underneath is done, which looks amazing. Just fantastic. And then for the tops, beautifully done again. In my opinion, they went above and beyond with this. Just an amazing piece here. Nice. And that does it for the mold. Hopefully I covered everything. I think this is a great looking model. Lots of detailing throughout the main body and even the aft. So now let's take a look at the paint. And now looking at that paint on the Star Wars Armada Venator class Star Destroyer, this baby has about 8 different colors, believe it or not. So let's get started. First off, we have our nice off-white. And you can see how it's the main color on the ship. I guess some people could say off-tan as well. But I dig it. I think it's a great color choice. Now, technically, I would have preferred if they did maybe a super light gray. But I guess FFG didn't want their ships for the Republic matching the Imperials, since all Imperial ships are gray. So it's a good choice. I think the off-white or off-tan really works here, and I support it. I think it looks great. You can see the same color going down the sides here. and on the bottom of the vessel, including the aft section with the hyperdrive. Really neat. Moving on from there, we do have maroon and yellow for the open circle fleet emblems, and also on the hangar bay doors and on the aft. Looking good. On the bottom, we have it in the aft, and also this nice row going down here. Nicely done. Also on the bottom, we do have some gray. You can see all these strips that are painted going down the sides. And we do have some black, which is pretty cool. Now going to the back of the ship, we do have dark gray for the engines and aft section. And that looks amazing. Pretty cool. Also, we have electric blue for the engine glow, which looks very cool in my opinion. And that same blue is scattered all throughout here. We can see all these little windows painted blue. That's pretty awesome. The bridge. And then over here we have our flight control bridge. That's also blue. And then we have blue again all over here. So very nice. I wasn't expecting a lot of blue, but I welcome it. It's really neat. Now, after all those, you guessed it, the final color is this nice black wash, which fills in all these nooks and crannies around the turbo lasers and around the sides here, and really shows off all that nice line work and paneling. You can even see it in the center here. Looking good, and especially the bottom and the hangar bay and all these nice paneling. Looking great. All in all, a beautiful ship with an excellent paint job in my opinion. And that does it for the mold as well as the paint. So now let's put this bad boy on a stand, compare it to some other pieces, and then we'll be done. And just like other Armada vessels, you get a nice translucent base. I already put the shield tokens on there, so that's pretty cool. You're going to take your ship token, place it on like so. You can see this rectangle goes up through that little hole there, and also it sits in this little bracket, so it's not going to go nowhere. Next, take your pylon, slide it through like that, and then push it up. You can see this little nib pop up that locks it into place. Place it down like so. Grab your ship. Remember to be a little gentle. Place the pylon into the peg port like so. And just like that, everybody, you are good to go. And now for a quick size comparison with the Star Wars Armada Venator class Star Destroyer seen in the center, I have some other Republic-era vessels from the Armada line. First, on the left-hand side, we have the Acclimator, something I was really hoping for, and they made it, and I'm blown away. The paint is a little off here and there, on mine anyway, but I love it, and you can see how small it is compared to the Venator there. It even has a smaller base, which is kind of cool. Moving on to the right-hand side, we have the Pelta-class medical frigate, which again is very nicely done, and you can see how well they go together. And for an added bonus size comparison, here we have the two main ships from each faction. On the right, we have the Venator class Star Destroyer for the Republic, and on the left, we have the Invisible Hand. Very nice. I think these ships look great together. Now, I zoomed in a little bit, but I made sure that And for an added bonus size comparison with the Venator class seen on the right hand side, I have it next to the Invisible Hand, which is the flagship for the Separatists. And I zoomed in a little bit, but I kept the bases equal, so you could definitely see they are, pretty parallel. But these ships are amazing together. I think each one has its pro and con, depending on... And for the added bonus size comparison with the Venator class Star Destroyer seen on the right, on the left we have the Invisible Hand, the flagship of the Separatist, and I think these ships look amazing together. Now, I did zoom in a little bit here to show off some of the details on these two, but the bases here are completely parallel. They are the same. You can see the pylons are even the same. Oh man, these ships are just great. Now, are they to scale? I do not believe so. I think they're off just a tad, but I think they look great. And if we take them like this, you can see how beautiful they look. Look at the paint and the details. Fantastic. And I think we're going to be looking at the invisible hand next on my channel. But if you're interested in seeing reviews of any of the ships I showed today, check the links in the description below. And that does it today for my review of the Star Wars Armada Venator class Star Destroyer expansion pack released in 2021. Now, for the mold, I love this ship. I can't state it enough. It's beautiful. For the paint, the blue's a little iffy here and there, but you know what? I love it. I think this ship looks amazing. I love the maroon and the off-white or off-tan, whatever you want to call it. And the black wash really brings this ship home. I think if I had to pick the weakest part, I would say it's the engine section. Everything else looks well painted, beautiful, worn. But the engines, they just look like molded plastic, to me anyway. I don't know. On the whole, they look fine. It looks similar. You can see right here, they look good. But when you're looking at a beautifully painted ship and then all of a sudden it's like raw plastic in the back, that could be a negative. However, on the whole, it's beautiful. Moving on from there, the set gives you mostly everything you need to add this to your Republic ship. I do recommend that to play this, you do have some extra ships laying around, or you have the Republic core set, or starter set if you will. And the reason for that is, this expansion does not give you command dials or speed dials at all. And according to FFG and Atomic Mass Games, I believe they're not giving us command dials anymore. So you have a couple different options. One, you buy the Republic starter set and get your dials and tokens there, cannibalize other ships you have, or you can go out and buy a command dial kit, which gives you a bunch of command dials and other things. So you got some options there, but I do think I gotta give it a negative for that, because, you know, X-Wing, you could just go open up a fighter, and if you have a friend that's willing to help you, you could just play it right off the rack. This is a different beast, because even if I had a friend with a range finder and a maneuver template and all that stuff, I buy it, I open it up, there's no command tokens, there's no speed dials, so it's, you know, you can't really play it out of the box, which could be a negative to some people out there, especially if you didn't want to fork out the money to get the starter set, but now you have this ship and you're lacking some things, you know what I mean? So I could see where it could put some new players into a bad spot, but if you're a long-time player, it's not going to be an issue. You got tons of dials and tokens and all that fun stuff. And that's basically everything I have to say about this set. You know, for the most part, I am very, very happy with it. The only negative I could think about is just that it doesn't give you the dials and tokens that you might need to actually play it. But if you got the starter sets and other ships, you're not going to have a problem whatsoever. So I guess it's only a negative to new players, if you will. But hands down, beautiful, beautiful job by FFG, and hopefully Atomic Mass Games gives us some great mechanics that we could use with this ship in the future. Maybe, you know, a repaint where it's all maybe gray and dark gray like an Imperial ship, maybe. Yeah, that would be awesome, right? I know some of you out there would agree, but great job. I really enjoy it. And if you're a Republic player or just a collector of Republic or Separatist ships, I really recommend this. You won't be disappointed. It's a beautiful piece. So that's everything I have to say about this awesome Star Destroyer today. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. If you'd like to see new videos every week, subscribe. Again, to all of you out there, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to watch my content. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Bye, everybody.